we are going to factor this out. We have 8x to the fourth power minus 40x to the third power minus x plus 5. This is a 4-term polynomial, so to factor this out, we'll try to do this by grouping. So we'll focus on the first two terms and then the second two terms. And notice that I didn't put in any parentheses because I cannot put in any parentheses unless I begin the factoring process. So I just use the underlines like this to emphasize that we'll first pay attention to these first two terms. So pretend that we don't have these two at the moment. Alright, so we focus on the 8 and the 40. What can we factor out? The 8, right? So we can factor out an 8, but then here we have x to the fourth power, and then this is x to the third power. We can also factor out x to the third power. And now I am going to open my parentheses. So we are going to put in the remaining things in this parentheses right here. Originally, we had 8x to the fourth power, but then we took out the 8, and then we took out 3 of the x. So we have one more x left. So we just have the x. And we factor out the past the 8, so this is going to be still minus. But then originally, we have 40. We factor out the 8, so we can do 40 divided by 8. We have 5. And the third power is out already, so this is what we have. 8x to the third power times the parentheses x minus 5. And now we'll pretend that we don't have this. We'll try to factor this out. But then there's one insist first. You see that here we have a subtraction. We need to maintain this subtraction down first. Alright, so it seems like we have the x plus 5. Nothing common that we can do, right? But then I still have to put in parentheses. And you see, based on this, it's like kind of saying we factor out a negative sign. So you see, originally we technically had a negative x, but we factor out this negative. So this negative x becomes just an x in this parentheses. And then originally we have positive 5, but then we put on negative outside already. So this is going to be a minus 5. So this is how we factor this 4-term polynomial. This is the first step. And just check, if you distribute the negative into a parentheses, you see that negative times x is negative x, and negative times negative 5 gives us a positive 5. So this is the correct first step. So I'm not just doing anything weird to make these two parentheses the same. It's just we factor out the negative so that you see that in fact they are the same. Alright, because these two parentheses are the same now, we can factor out the common factor x minus 5. And then what do we have left? Well, for the first term right here, we have the 8x to a third power. Let's put it down right here. And then this is a minus, but minus what though? Technically, this is a minus 1. 1 times this, right? So we have a minus 1 like this. Are we done? Well, this is x minus 5. That's good. But then for the second parentheses, we have 8x to the third power minus 1. This right here is factorable with the difference of two cubes. And let me just show you guys the detailed work on the side right here on how we can factor this out. So let me do it. 8x to the third power minus 1. We first have to look at this as parentheses something to the third power minus something to the third power, right? What times what will give us 8? The answer to that will be 2. And then we also have to have the x. And then for the 1, what times what will be 1? Well, just 1. So this is the difference of two cubes. We are going to factor this out by using a formula. And the formula is this. If we have a to the third power minus b to the third power in this form, and technically I'll put this in a parentheses like that, but usually we don't do it. Anyways, the result is going to be a minus b times the second parentheses will be a to the second power plus the product of ab, and then plus b to the second power. And you need to know this formula really well in order to factor out the difference of two cubes. Okay, so this is the formula for it. Alright, we're going to apply this formula to this. 2x is our a and 1 is our b. So we'll go ahead. The formula says the first part is going to be a minus b. That's going to be 2x minus 1. So we have 2x minus 1 in the first parentheses. And then for the next parentheses, we are going to have a squared, and that's going to be 2x in the parentheses, and erase that to a second power. So in fact, we get 4 x to the second power. Once again, this is because we have a 2x in a parentheses and then raise that to a second power. That's what the a squared means. Okay? And then we add a times b. That's going to be 2x times 1. And the result for that will be just 2x. So this 2x technically is because 2x times 1. At the end, for the last part, we have plus b squared. Well, b is 1, so we have to square the 1. We still end up with 1 though. So we have to plus 1 to this. But this 1 is technically 1 to the second power. And this right here is a factoring for 8x to the third power minus 1. Okay? So altogether, I'll come back here. We still have this x minus 5. And then for this right here is 2x minus 1 times 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. So I'll just write it down right here. And this is it. Especially for this part, this is not factorable. So you don't need to do a tic-tac-toe for this. And we'll just box this for the answer for the original question. That's it.